Okay. I wasn't gonna make this video at all. I wasn't gonna make this video just because of the fact that I feel like these days it's pretty much a known thing that Kingdom Hearts and IGN, well, they they don't mix well. And at this point, do people really need to be reminded about how IGN operate when it comes to doing any reviews towards the Kingdom Hearts franchise? No, I honestly don't think so. But I couldn't pass this one up. I really honestly couldn't. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna do it. And in a funny sense too, like when it comes to IGN and Kingdom Hearts, it's almost sort of like a nostalgic thing here to do on the channel. Mainly because we have been sort of talking about IGN's relationship with Kingdom Hearts and the way they operate towards it, ever since the initial get-go of this channel. So you know what, dude? We are doing it. What's going on, guys? It's Cynical, and welcome back to another video. Today for you guys, I wanted to talk about quite possibly one of IGN's worst reviews, and that just so happens to be the Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLC review that came out in February of this year. Yeah, I know I'm talking about this towards the end of the year, but again, I couldn't pass up on it, man. Now, before we get into this, I just want to say that this is not me going in as a complete blind Kingdom Hearts fanboy, absolutely white knighting my favorite video game series of all time. I think that'd be sort of slightly fucking embarrassing, okay? We're not doing that here today, fellas. More so, this is me observing from a standpoint towards this is not how you do a video game review, bro. Now, I will not be including IGN's review in this video, just out of fear that if they wanted to, they could totally slap me with a copyright strike. So, NTY, no thank you, boss. We're just going to simply be talking about it. If you guys need the context, I will leave the link to the review in the description down below. So, Jonathan Dornbush starts off by talking about the main story portion of the DLC, which is, of course, the Reminds portion. Sora using the power of waking to go back in time to the start events of the Keyblade Graveyard to, of course, save that of Kairi. But the minute that this review starts off, he mentions that it is an oddly jumbled mess of separated content. Now, this is, I believe, in reference to the fact that, of course, we have the Remind portion, the Limit Cup portion, and the Secret Episode portion all being separated. Now, I do wish that there was one sort of cohesive way that Square Enix could have made this accessible, but in hindsight of things, this is probably the best way it could have worked. I do wish that they actually just melded the entirety of the Remind DLC into like one separate thing. It kind of makes it a little bit messy that all three of them are separate and then you have to use one save to load into that portion of the DLC, then you use all of that save file's stats. Really though, I guess it is the best way for it to work, because if you think about it, it means that we can jump in to the three major pieces of the DLC content straight off the bat without actually having to go back and replay from the very beginning of the DLC. So it kind of makes sense. This, again though, really isn't the issue, because this man didn't finish the fucking DLC. To also add on to the separation of content comment that he made, he also mentions that everything that is actually included within Remind's DLC, sort of story-wise, is far less interesting than it could have been. Now, how does a man that didn't finish the DLC, can make the claim, can make the comment that the story stuff that is in this DLC, which, by the way, all three pieces, the Remind, the Limit Cut, the Secret Episode, it's all canon, alright? None of this content is just there to be there, kind of like the Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix Additional content when we look at the data battles in that, and like the Cavern of Remembrance. It's not really overly too canon, I guess you could sort of consider it, but there's no real story aspect behind it, it's just sort of there to be additional content. How can you not finish this game and then make a comment towards how that this is not interesting story-wise? I'll never know. And the most interesting thing about this is this has to be certified and cleared from IGN, you know, the higher-ups, before the reviews actually go live. There actually have been, though, reviews in the past, and I'm looking specifically towards the Dead Cells one that was completely plagiarized, where it seems like some of the higher-ups don't actually double-check some of these reviews before they're publicly released. And I think this right here is just another case of exactly that. You cannot release a review of something, especially coming from the most well-known gaming outlet of all time. You're sitting at like, how many subscribers, my boy? Almost 14 million. And release a review that is half fucking baked. Now, I'll be real. The Remind portion of the Remind DLC, you know, the main portion of story using the power of waking to go back in time to the start events of the Keyblade Graveyard to, like, sort of redo everything all over again, it can be a little bit bland, alright? It can be a little bit bland, especially sort of everything leading up to Scala. It is, like he was saying in the review, all kind of, for the most part, reused content. We are pretty much essentially just refighting bosses that we've already fought previously throughout the base game. I kind of do wish that Square did something a little bit different to not make it seem as if we're just kind of rehashing and repeating the same shite. It was interesting that we got the extra playable characters. It was interesting that we got a little bit more context towards Roxas's return, as well as full-blown context towards Kairi's return. But I will admit, and I will agree, that everything leading up to that of the Scala portion of the Remind DLC was just a little bit The meat and potatoes, though, of this review is when he starts talking about the data fight, which Jonathan actually mentioned was the main portion of this DLC, which I'll admit, this is where you're probably going to be spending most of your time, mainly because of the fact that, yes, these data fights are hard as nails. He mentioned that he only defeated 4 of these bad boys, and that the difficulty spike is just pretty much unwarranted, although actually acknowledging the fact that yes, some of the community did actually want harder fights. The comment had been made was that the difficulty was so hard that he could only get through 4, so he just basically threw the towel in the bag and said, fuck it, we're releasing this review, bro. Now, I'm not good at Cage whatsoever, and I'm not out here trying to be an elitist. I despise the elitists in the community. I really fucking do, man. There is such a mode as beginner mode. I don't know if you were playing on it. I don't know. And I do understand that some of these fights are still pretty damn hard on beginner mode. However, though, there was an update that came out like a day before Remind release that actually had a new thing called the premium menu. There is the pro code side of the menu and the easy code side of the menu, right? There are multiple different options within this easy code menu that could make your life that much easier, that if you are struggling so much and so bad, and that if you do have a deadline to get this review out by, whip out the easy codes. You could literally put on Deadly Blow. That would make it so that you could actually take down the boss in one fucking hit, which I know, again, this is a review, so you're probably wanting to actually review the difficulty factor, but it's also important that you experience the story side of things, because there are some very important story aspects that come out of this DLC once you have defeated all 13 data fights. Not only that, you could have also put on auto block, meaning that you still have to engage in combat, but for the most part, your booty is going to come out unscathed. You could have put on HP or MP regen to make it just a little bit easier. Focus regen, form change enhancement. There's so many different things that you could have done to actually make your time here easier with these boss fights. I think this is kind of the reason as to why Square Enix came up with the easy code menu specifically, because they knew the fact that yes, these data fights are going to be hard as rocks. People did ask for this. The community did want this. The Dark Inferno secret boss fight was most certainly one of the most disappointing post-game pieces of content that a Kingdom Hearts game has received. Even that being said, I kind of struggled there for a little bit, 4 hours, but hey, I do understand that it was extremely disappointing. This is what people wanted, but hey, dude, like, if you can't get through it, there's multiple different things you could have done in order to actually get through it. Because it's important for the review that you understand the story stuff, especially with making the comment that the story stuff found in this DLC just isn't that interesting. Now, the biggest thing here is, of course, you don't even have access to that of the secret episode, which gives us not too many hints towards Kingdom Hearts' future, but little dabbles of which. You need to defeat all 13 data members in order to access that secret episode. And I will say right now that what happens in that secret episode is some of the most mind-bending, mind-boggling, interesting Kingdom Hearts shit that has ever happened story-wise. It might not make any sense whatsoever, dude, but man, that's some pew 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 pew. and is obviously going to be crucial for that of the future of Kingdom Hearts. Now look, I don't have to be here telling you guys all this. Again, I'm just simply doing this because I just kind of want to, really. I think the like to dislike ratio on the actual video itself sort of speaks for that. But the points that IGN were pretty much trying to make towards giving this DLC the reception that it got from them was that, for one, the story aspects were just not really that interesting whatsoever, and that it was too hard. There is no middle ground here. It's either too easy or too hard. Bro, review what you have at your disposal to make your life easier. It's there. It's possible. Do it. Make it easier for yourself. You can. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. We haven't done one of these in quite some time. We're good. I promise. But that's basically all for today, guys. I just wanted to do this because I've been, like, gnawing to actually just get this out. I just honestly can't believe that IGN would release a review that is half-baked. Like, this turkey still needs its seasoning, bro. Like, what are you doing? How do you release a video game review when you haven't finished the damn video game? I would absolutely love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions. Oh, trust me, I would absolutely love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I think this is important to talk about, not just for, like, Kingdom Hearts specifically, but, like, for IGN going forward. The more that we actually bring up these different matters and these issues, there is that slight sliver of hope that IGN will, for the love of God, fingers crossed, better themselves in certain areas where they are definitely falling. And I'm not out here trying to say that IGN make trash content 120% of the time, because that's just simply not true. There is a reason why they do almost have 14 million subscribers. Here and there, they definitely do pump out some good stuff. It's just sort of this in-between stuff that pops up every so often. Just makes you sit there questioning, like, what the hell, what the turkey frillard is going on in these offices sometimes, dude? Well, guys, that is all for today. I'm Cynical. Hopefully you're having a good one, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.